That just happened without me touching a single thing. Claude read my files, pulled every action item, organized them into a formatted list, and saved the finished document exactly where I needed it. I did not write a word. I did not manage a step. I just described the outcome, and Claude delivered it. That is Cowork. And in the next 13 minutes, I am going to set it up with you from scratch. No coding, no complicated setup, no tech background required. By the end of this video, Claude is going to be running your recurring tasks automatically, while you focus on the work only you can do, or honestly, while you do something else entirely. If you watch Stop Re-Explaining Yourself to Claude, link is right here or find it in the description below. You already set up Claude to know your business. You built your projects. You created your skills. Claude finally knew who you are. Cowork takes that to the next level. This is where Claude stops responding and starts executing. And I am going to show you the one Cowork feature that most solopreneurs skip entirely. The one that saves the most time every single week. Stick with me. We are getting into it right now. Quick context if you are new here. I am Simone Keys. I am an AI avatar created by the founder of this channel to teach solopreneurs how to use AI tools and workflows effectively in their business. Real tools, real workflows, built for solopreneurs who do not have time to waste. This is video 2 of the Claude desktop series. If you have not watched Stop Re-Explaining Yourself to Claude, go do that first and come back. Link is in the description. Let's get started. Before we set anything up, here is the one thing you need to understand about Cowork. In regular Claude Chat, Claude responds. In Cowork, Claude executes. That is the entire difference. And it changes everything. You describe an outcome. Claude builds a plan, reads your files, takes action across multiple steps, and hands you a finished result. A formatted report, an organized folder, a synthesized research document. Done, without you managing every step. Now a few requirements before we set this up. Cowork requires a paid Claude plan. Pro, Max, Team, or Enterprise. Not available on the free plan. Pro is $20 a month, and that is where most solopreneurs start. The Claude desktop app needs to be open, and your computer needs to be awake for tasks to run. Not cloud-based while your laptop is closed. I will come back to that in the scheduled tasks section. All right, open Claude desktop and click the Cowork tab at the top. This is your Cowork workspace. When you click New Task, you land right here. And I love this. Claude greets you with, "Let's knock something off your list." That is the entire mindset of Cowork. You are here to get things done. On the left is your sidebar, your command center. In the center of your screen is your task input. That is where you tell Claude exactly what you want done. And right below that input, you will see 2 controls. Work in a project and ask. Those 2 controls are everything. Let me walk you through every piece of this interface so you know exactly what you have before we start building. First, this work in a project drop-down. This is how you tell Claude which folder to work in. Click it and you will see any projects you have already created, plus 2 options at the bottom. Create new project and choose a different folder. This is your folder access control. Whatever you select here is where Claude will read and write files for this task. Right next to that is the Ask dropdown. This is one of the most important controls in Cowork, and most people never touch it. You have 2 modes, Ask before acting. Claude pauses before every action so you can approve it, and Act without asking. Claude runs the full task without stopping. For beginners, I always recommend Ask before acting. You stay in control of every single step Claude takes. Projects in the sidebar are dedicated workspaces for recurring areas of your business. Each one has its own files, context, and instructions. We will set one up together in a few minutes. Scheduled is where your automation lives. You set up a scheduled task from the New Task button right here. And right here on this screen, you will see the Keep Awake toggle. Turn that on. It keeps your computer awake, so scheduled tasks run on time. Live artifacts are dynamic documents that update automatically from your connectors. I already have one. My Slack Daily Digest pulls my mentions every morning without me doing a thing. You can start with today's Slack mentions, week at a glance, unread email digest, or what needs my attention. Dispatch is in beta. It lets you send tasks from your phone, and Claude completes them on your desktop. Keep your eye on this one. And Customize is where you connect your apps, create skills, and browse plugins. This is where you make Cowork yours. Now you know what every piece of this interface does. Let's build your workspace. All right, before we run your first task, you need to give Claude a place to work. Let's set that up now. First, create your Cowork folder. Go to your OneDrive, Google Drive, or iCloud, or your local computer if you prefer, and create a new folder. Name it something like Claude Cowork or whatever makes sense for your business. Inside it, create subfolders for your work areas: content, scripts, research, admin, whatever fits your business. That is your Cowork workspace. Pro tip: set this folder up inside a cloud storage service. Google Drive, OneDrive, iCloud, whatever you already use. Your files stay in the cloud. Claude can access them from any device, and you never have to think about which machine you are on. Now let's connect it to Claude. Head on back to Claude Desktop, make sure you are on the Cowork tab, and click the Work in a Project dropdown at the bottom of your task input. You will see any projects you have already set up, and at the bottom you will see two options: Create New Project and choose a different folder. Click Choose a Different Folder and navigate to the Cowork folder you just created. Claude will show you a permission dialog asking to allow access to that folder. You have two options: Allow for this session only, or Always Allow if you want Claude to remember this folder going forward. I recommend Always Allow for your Cowork folder so you never have to grant permission again. Click Always Allow and you are connected. One important note: Claude can make real changes to your files: writing, editing, creating, saving. For anything sensitive, keep it out of the Cowork folder until you are comfortable. Start with low-stakes files. Get a feel for it, then expand. Code and shell commands run in an isolated virtual machine, so there is a safety layer there. But file changes are real. Say the wrong thing, and files can be gone. This is powerful. Treat it that way. Now, let's run your first task. This is the moment. Before I type anything, let me show you one setting. Click the Ask dropdown at the bottom of your task input. You have two options here: Ask before acting and Act without asking. I am choosing Ask before acting for this demo, and I recommend you do the same when you are getting started. With this mode on, Claude pauses before every action and waits for your approval. You see exactly what it is about to do before it does it. That is the safest and most educational way to learn how Cowork works. And make sure your work in a project is set to your appropriate folder. Click that drop-down and select it now if you have not already. That tells Claude exactly where to find your files and where to save the finished work. Now, before I type anything, you are going to notice something in the Progress panel on the right side of your screen. Some of the file names have names like Bella and Nova. Those are my AI agents. I built a custom team inside Claude Desktop where each agent has their own role, their own files, and their own area of the business they manage. That is a whole separate video, but what I want you to see right now is how transparent Cowork is about everything it does. The key to getting great results from Cowork is being specific about the outcome. You are not prompting Claude for a conversation. You are giving it a job. Describe what you want done, what files to use, and what the finished output should look like. Here is a real example from my own business. This is my prompt. Read the files in my team inbox folder. Pull out any pending tasks or action items. Organize them into a formatted list and save it as weekly-actions.md in my owner's inbox. Seriously, this one line is the difference between Claude doing the work and Claude doing the wrong work. Notice how specific that is. I told Claude exactly where to look, what to pull out, and where to save the finished file. That specificity is everything. Vague prompts get vague results. Specific prompts get finished work. Now I hit Submit. Watch the right panel on your screen. That is your progress tracker. It shows exactly what Claude is doing in real time. You can see each file as Claude accesses it. This is not magic. This is Claude doing the actual work, step by step, transparently. Notice it started by reading my claude.md file. That is my instructions file. Claude read my context first, so it understood my business before it touched a single task file. Then it read through my agent files and pulled everything together. 6 files read, 4 tools used, nothing hidden, full transparency on every single action taken. And here is your result. right inside the chat. Claude gives you a complete summary of what it found. In this case, 19 open action items organized into 3 categories: what needs my attention right now, what my team is working on, and what is still waiting for confirmation. All pulled from 6 files I never had to open myself. And that link right there, viewyourweeklyactions.md, takes you straight to the finished file saved in your owner's inbox. Color-coded sections, formatted tables, numbered action items with source files and notes for every single one. This is not a summary Claude typed in a chat box. This is a finished, formatted, saved document ready to use. That is Cowork. That is what it actually does. And I did not write a single line of that document. Projects inside Cowork are separate workspaces with their own files, context, instructions, and memory. Think of each project as a dedicated workspace for a recurring area of your business. For a solopreneur, here is how I would set this up. Create a project for each major area of your business. One for content production, one for client work, one for research, one for admin. Inside each project, you can add context files. These are instructions Claude reads before it starts any task inside that project. So in your content project, you might add a file that says, here is my content strategy, here is my audience, here is my brand voice, here are the formats I use. Claude reads that every time it works inside that project. You never have to re-explain your context. Not sure what to put in yours? Go into Claude Chat, tell it about your business, your audience, your brand voice, how you like to work, and ask it to build a downloadable Markdown file you can drop straight into your project folder. Claude writes the context doc for you. Then Cowork reads it every single time. You can also scope your scheduled tasks per project. Your content automation stays inside your content project. Your research automation stays in your research project. Everything organized, everything contained. Now here is how to create one. Click the Work in a Project dropdown and select Create New Project. You will see 3 options. Start from scratch sets up a brand new folder with instructions and files. Use this if you are building a new work area from the ground up. Import a project brings a project you already created in Claude Chat over to Cowork. If you set up projects back in video 1, this is your fastest path. Your context, your instructions, everything carried over automatically. Use an existing folder. Connects Claude to a folder you already work from. Perfect if your Cowork folder is already set up and ready to go. For most solopreneurs just getting started, start from scratch is your option. But if you did the work in video 1, hit Import a Project and you are already done. Okay, here is the feature I told you about at the top of this video. The one most solopreneurs skip. Scheduled tasks. Scheduled tasks let you save a Cowork task and have Claude run it automatically on a cadence you choose. Daily, weekly, every Monday morning. You define it once. Claude handles it from there. Here is why this matters for a one-person business. As a solopreneur, you are doing everything. Strategy, content, client work, admin, marketing. You cannot afford to spend your best hours on work that is repetitive and predictable. Scheduled tasks take that work off your plate permanently. Here are 3 I would set up this week if you are running a content business. Number 1. A Monday morning content briefing. Every Monday at 8 in the morning, Claude reads your notes folder, checks your content calendar, and delivers a formatted briefing of what needs to be created this week. You wake up and it is already done. Number 2. A weekly content ideas digest. Every Friday, Claude scans your research folder, pulls anything new you have saved, and generates a list of fresh content ideas based on your brand and audience. Ready for your planning session? Number 3. A file cleanup task. Every Sunday evening, Claude sweeps your Cowork folder, organizes any loose files, renames anything inconsistent, and saves a tidy summary of what it moved. You start every week with a clean workspace. If this is clicking for you and you are already thinking about what to automate first, hit that like button. It tells me to keep making content like this every single week. Now click New Task. You will see 2 options, Create with Claude and Set up manually. Create with Claude is the easiest path. Claude walks you through the setup conversationally. It asks what kind of task you want to automate: daily briefing, content creation, research, or something custom. You answer a few questions, and Claude builds the scheduled task for you. This is where I would start if you are setting up your first one. Setup manually gives you a form. You fill in the name, a description, and your full task prompt. Then you set the frequency, daily, weekly, a specific day and time. Same work in a project, and ask controls you already know. Hit save, and your scheduled task is live. Scheduled tasks run on your computer. The app needs to be open, and your computer needs to be awake. That keep awake toggle handles that for you. And that is scheduled tasks. Set it once. Claude handles it from there. Connectors in Cowork work the same way as in Chat, but now Claude can use them to actually complete tasks, not just answer questions. Connect Google Drive and Claude can pull documents, read spreadsheets, and save outputs directly to your drive. Connect Gmail and Claude can read emails, summarize threads, and draft responses as part of a task. Connect Notion and Claude reads and writes to your workspace. When you give Claude a task that involves one of your connected tools, it reaches for the connector first. That is the fastest and most precise path. Browser automation and screen control are the fallback when no connector exists. Your connectors from Chat carry over automatically. You do not need to reconnect anything. Open Cowork and they are already there. All right, let's recap what you just set up. The Cowork interface and what every piece of the sidebar does. How to connect your folder using the Work in a Project drop-down. How to use Ask Before Acting so you stay in control of every step. How to run your first task with a clear, specific outcome. Cowork Projects, so your recurring work areas each have their own context and memory. Schedule tasks with the Keep Awake toggle, so Claude handles your repetitive work automatically. And connectors, so Claude can work across the tools where your business actually lives. Real talk. Chat made Claude smarter about your business. Cowork makes Claude actually work in your business. That is the difference, and it is significant. Here is your homework. Set up one scheduled task this week. Just one. A Monday briefing, a weekly file cleanup, a Friday content digest. Pick the one that saves you the most time and set it up today. Not tomorrow, today. The next video in this series is Claude Code Desktop, where we go deep on the Code tab and how to use it even if you are not a developer. That one is coming very soon, so make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss it. I am Simone Keys. Thank you so much for watching. If this video helped you, please like it and subscribe to Keys to AI. It genuinely helps me keep making content like this every single week, and I appreciate every single one of you. I will see you in the next one.